there with all the talent. This is a 20-minute problem-solving show with real-life experiences. So we have nothing better than this triage of doctors looking all the way around there. I can't see them right now. So my camera that you are seeing them out there in social media. Josh Tovar, Pro Principal of Memorial Pathway Academy in Garland ISD, Garland, USA, ready to rock and roll these office hours. Dean, what do you think about that?
Hey, Josh, you're right on. Even if you can't see us, I know you can feel us here. It doesn't really matter. So that's a good thing. Office hours are all about 20 minutes of unwrapping something in education that is totally germane to all of us. And let's get ready to rumble. Dean Packard, principal, Charlton Middle School in Charlton, Massachusetts, and one of the co-founders of Unlock the Middle. Thanks for being with us tonight. Want to go around the table, Josh? Want me to have people introduce themselves?
Yes, please do.
You got it. Carol, starting down with you with Dr. Joe Clark. I know that we won't say his name tonight because I know he's probably listening. Go.
Hi, thanks for the intro. Carol Taunting. I am principal at Lee Eaton Intermediate, which is in the Nordonia Hills City School District. It's situated between Cleveland and Akron. It's a great time. Pretty happy about winter break coming up. Everyone could use a little break, but it's all good.
Absolutely perfect. Michael.
Hey, I'm Michael Bobo, currently assistant principal at Wilson Middle School, which is in Hyde Park, right in Tampa, right by the bay. I was telling them it's cold. Nobody believes me.
Why do you have a sweatshirt on, Michael? Why do you have a sweatshirt on? You're
killing
us.
It's cold outside.
Welcome back, Michael. Michael, you've been on many times, so great to have you back again. Alyssa.
Hi, I'm Alysia Pavlonis. I am an assistant principal for the Mukilteo Virtual Academy Secondary 612, as well as ACES High School in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. I'm not currently in Washington State. I'm down in Florida where it's nice and warm. I'm going to go with nice and warm on that one. And I'm excited to be here with all of you.
Alysia, thank you so much. We appreciate you being here as well. Dr. Tovar.
All right, here we go. Quick brain, high order thinking skills, questioning for all of you. Here we go. Ready? Question number 1. Carol, which one is better? Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas, or Bing Crosby and David Bowie, Little Drummer Boy?
Little Drummer Boy by far, right? It's got a good beat, keeps it going.
All right, Alysia?
Oh, I got to go Mariah Carey. You can't have Christmas without Mariah Carey all over the radio.
All right, Dean?
Mariah Carey, right down the middle of the fairway.
Bobo?
How can you deny those vocals of Mariah Carey, period?
Oh.
And the answer is, you're wrong, Bing Crosby, David Bowie,
Carol's going to take the lead.
Let's go, Carol. That's the way. Love it. All right, let's see if you guys get this right now. Let's get this answer right. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Eggnog or apple cider? Bobo.
Eggnog, of course. Wouldn't be the holidays without it.
Alysia?
I say eggnog, but can I give a little Puerto Rican flavor, some coquito instead?
Carol?
I can't top that. I'm going to go with eggnog, right? It's Christmas. It's holidays.
All right.
Depends upon what we add in the drink. I'm going to go probably, and I had a great drink with a little Tennessee honey whiskey in my eggnog the other day, and it was really good. So eggnog.
All right. Oh, got it right this one. I'm glad that united with eggnog. Exactly, that's the answer. Your problem-solving scenario. Real world. Trust me, this has happened before. So check out your cell phone, and we'll read it out there to the audience. Your school choir is taking an overnight trip, which students had to pay for and need to be eligible to participate in. The money was paid to the principal. On the day of departure, you hear that one of the students is not passing his history class and is about to take off knowing he's not passing. The history teacher goes out to you and tells you that student can't go. He's not passing history. He has a very low grade. Other students hear the conversation, especially the part that the student's not passing. Kids are boarding the bus with their pillows around their neck. Parents are giving them snacks as they board the bus. The history teacher looks at you and tells you, what are you going to do? It's not equitable that he's going. He was walking out to see the kids off, what do you do? Michael Bobo.
Wow, that's a rough one. I've had this situation before, but I really, before we did the trip, I pushed the teachers to make sure that I get the information a couple of days beforehand so that this situation wouldn't come up. So my conversation with the teacher would be, I needed this information a couple of days ago. Right now, the student is eligible to go, and it is equitable because if we don't do our part, we fail our students. So that's not fair to the student if the student didn't know. So I would definitely let the student go, but we would have conversation with the teacher, and we would have some conversation with the student once he gets back.
Alysia.
I have to agree on that. I'm a believer in having some sort of deadline when it comes to materials like this. And so if we had everything and did our due diligence in advance, then I'm on board with the student as well, attending the choir field trip and having that conversation with the teacher as well. While I'm on the bus, I'm more of a motivator and encourager. I'd also be trying to get that student to see what we can do to get that grade up on the bus. But I would honor what we previously already agreed to and set in place. And then on the way back, I'd work with the student and the teacher on making sure that we get that grade up.
Dean Packard.
So you got a lot of moving parts here. And being in administration for a lot of years, you have to make sure, number one, that the child's not on an IEP, not on a 504. You have to allow equal access for all students, no matter what. The grade is one thing, okay? And I understand that, and I could probably wrap my head around that from my teaching years. But when you offer an opportunity for children to get an activity outside of the classroom, there is equity for all, unless there is a real undermining criteria that would prohibit a child from going. And I would say that most parents would be on board for that as well. Obviously, your student support team would put together some sort of plan that would allow for that student to be able to have effective access to this, whether there would be a paraprofessional going along or a parent going on or a chaperone, or even myself as a principal or somebody else to ensure that that child has that same equitable experience. Again, I think it's a fight you cannot fight in public education when it comes to programs outside of the classroom, unless there's a real underlining extenuating circumstance.
Carol.
Wow, those are all three great answers. I do 100% agree with everything they said. I don't know how much I would push the academic on the bus or during the experience. I think it would depend on the student. I think the front loading of this needed to happen. I think that we needed to see what that's our primary focus of school, is to do what's good for kids, and when kids aren't learning. So where the support systems in place prior to that. We are very strong, and I'm a very strong advocate for professional learning community. So I think that someone's performance wouldn't come down to a particular point of a grade, especially if you had some deadlines and things like that ahead of time. And I also think in public education, when you start getting people paying for things, that you're probably going to lose that battle. But I say it's good for kids. Put them on the bus. Figure out what's going on and what kind of interventions you need to put in place when you get back.
So based on what you all were saying, what would you do about the backlash? Because kids talk. When kids talk in the stands, and I've learned this, most of the time when football programs or athletic events, they're ineligible. In Texas, we have it's an organization, it's called the DEC, the DEC. And we address all athletic events, and whatever it might be. And whenever people call out other schools. So my question to you is this. There's PO repercussions when people might not know, but then perception is reality, right? So the administrator was told in front of everybody that kid is ineligible by the teacher. No matter 504 special ed. And in this scenario, guys, it was a regular kid. It was regular, not sped. And yes, the kid was still allowed to go. So what would you do about the perception afterwards when you knew that the kid was ineligible? The kid knew. Dean.
If I may, you got to remember, we're in public schools that are funded by public funds. Every child comes to us with an opportunity to have access to everything that we do. Again, handbooks are in place to be able to utilize prudent discipline and consequences when things come up. I love the answers that came out about here about why is the child at that level? Why are you having that discussion at this point in time? Okay, this all should have been front loaded. You should have been able to get out in front of this. You should have had a lot of preparation, not only at home, student support team, but again, if these programs are for public school kids, just because they didn't make the grade, you have to understand that there are many factors that go into assessment. Many. And again, these are conversations you have on the side. But when a program is set up for kids to be able to have an experience, that grade is not going to stop the child for going. It's just not going to, because you can't close the door with a 60 and say you can't be part of this because you didn't do your job. Now, that's a collective understanding from a faculty. There's no doubt about it. And again, is it hard to give that privilege to somebody? It is, and you have to put the ego aside. Will that experience help a child become better and do their job next time? I like to think proactively that would be a good thing for kids. I really do. And then process with them. So again, I want to just jump in right there because I've seen it happen. And I've been on the other end when I've tried to not allow somebody to go, and I was told right away, this child can go. And they're absolutely right. You can't think that way. And again, you've got to walk through that. And I love this scenario because it's a very, very important thing that happens in a lot of schools around the country.
I think if I could chime in here. I'm sorry.
Yes, please.
So I think that the perception of being reality is a very valid point. And I think the perception of reality, too, would be towards the staff member that waited to that particular moment. That's a gotcha moment, right? Like, that's me putting on a show. I'm going to come here, exercise my power over that kid in front of parents and students and chaperones, all that kind of stuff. So I think that was the first thing that popped into my mind was like, well, that's a conversation with that staff member of, you did it there. You didn't do it in private. You didn't pull me across inside and say, hey, I'm struggling with this. I don't know. I don't like the gotcha moments.
Love that. I agree.
Michael?
So for me, I want to go back to a little bit what Dean said. Been working at Title I schools for a long time. And we always had an end of the year field trip in which we teachers sometimes didn't agree with. And we had a criteria, but some of my students that were in Tampa never left Tampa, never gone anywhere. So they had an opportunity to go to Universal Studios, which they probably wouldn't ever have this opportunity before. So immediately when that happened, I was thinking about the experience for the child. It's not for me to hamper a child because they don't test well. I know in school I didn't test well. So I didn't test well doesn't mean I can't go. And plus it's a choir field trip. So if I'm the baritone and I need to be there, or I'm Mariah Carey and I'm singing All I Want for Christmas, you know what I mean? And I don't get this opportunity because you're going to like showboat in front of everybody is an issue. I also want to piggyback with Dean, like this is a culture thing. It's not just this one child. We need to make sure our faculty and staff understand what are we doing what's best for our students. Are we educating the whole child, not just one particular part of the child?
Alysia?
I completely agree. I come from a Title I background myself, and I've seen firsthand taking students on some of these trips aside that it's an impact. It's a shift. I had a lot of students from where I originally taught that also didn't leave that area. And so getting to experience something new, seeing a new location, that enlivened them, that emboldened them. They came back and they were stronger. They had motivation now to do even better. So I completely agree with what both Dean and Michael are saying on this, but I'm also with Carol that that's not the moment for that conversation. And so with that individual teacher, that's kind of that sidestep back where here, we'll handle this at the later date. But right now, this is moments for the students. This isn't about us at this point. This is for them.
Josh, what do you think?
I believe that the protocols need to have been established already. In other shows that we've had, Dean, about this, to where as the assistant principal in charge of whatever, and it's been mainly athletics for me, even if I was in charge of fine arts, there's more stringent requirements and protocols for athletics for obvious reasons as compared to fine arts. But I would establish the same specificity of grades, decorum, contracts, whatever we want to do. But that needs to be established by administration because that's their vision. That avoids the nonsense that happens because in the end, it's your chair that needs to clean up all the garbage that's around. You're the one that's going to have to clean all the negative perception. And then you don't have people in the stand saying, oh, they allowed him to play. Oh, they allowed him to do this. And then that creates an undercurrent of negativity towards an administrator. So you need to always be at the forefront, at the spearhead of all those meetings with parents of whatever activity that might bring noise to your table. And that is with the protocols that you say, I expect your kid to do this. I expect them to represent the uniform that they carry, the name across the chest correctly, and we adhere to the grades, whatever it might be. Obviously, it's relevant to middle school, high school, totally different. But still, if you are the AP in charge of it or the principal in charge of it, you better be there at all those meetings with parents. Because you know what? When they're creating their nonsense on the stands, when guess who's the one that needs to be out there? You do. Yeah. And at least you can tell the parents, hey, remember we talked about this at the start of the season? Do you remember this? This is why we have those conversations. So it's about establishing those protocols with you, not with a piece of paper, because no one follows a piece of paper.
But Josh, I would push back just a little bit. If you're talking about a one-time event versus a season or a multiple-day event that a handbook would cover on grades and discipline, I would say the learning experience of a field trip is okay. It's different. It's different. And I'm going to go back to what Michael said. You know, you may not get an opportunity to get outside of the place that you've grown up in. This is an educational opportunity. I don't know if going to Universal Studios has an educational impact. I'm sure if you're doing some sort of performance, yes, I get that. But if you're just sitting on a roller coaster and enjoying yourself, well, again, that's a different story. But from an MIAA or an interscholastic activity, or being part of show choir, or being part of student council, or some sort of student government and representing, yeah, I get it. But classroom extensions of a one-time opportunity, you've got to be able to understand that every child comes from a different lens. Now, I'll back away for a second and give somebody a chance.
And I 100% agree with what you just said. And that was not the time. That's not the hill you're going to die on as the kid is boarding the bus. That is not the hill. But ultimately, as someone said earlier, that's not where you're going to have a side conversation with a teacher. Administrator allowing that, and I was the principal signing off on that trip. Bring me the grades. I want to see that everyone's passing. I want to see that everyone paid, because even payment. So people say, oh, I can't pay. Can I pay after the trip? Yep. And then they won't want to pay afterwards. Yep. It's all connected. So I agree. I 100% back what you're saying. My last 2 minutes was that whatever you're in charge of, you better be the visual in front of everybody saying, this is what we're talking about, putting yourself at the front, because it's going to be your vision that you're going to have to clean up or keep on promoting.
And if I could say, it's about, building those relationships. And Josh, I totally agree. If those parents know that you're about the betterment of their student, if about their child, it doesn't matter if it's discipline, academics, on a field trip, that parent will back you up 100%. I've seen it across the board. And if you're fair, and when I say fair, I'm not talking about, oh, everybody gets the same thing. No, I know Josh needs certain things. I'm going to make sure that he gets them. I know as a parent, you need certain things. I'm going to make sure it happens. If we do that as educators and build those relationships, and for me, they will get out of middle school knowing that I was cared for and I can make it in high school. And for me, that's accomplishment bar none.
I agree.
All right.
Well
We're
said.
almost there. Any closing thoughts, Carol? Closing thoughts?
I hope I'm not in that predicament coming up, because I'm getting ready to book a sixth grade camp. So,
well, now you know what to look
I'm
for.
sure, Carol, you won't be in that predicament. You're out in front of this. You'll make sure.
Alysia.
For me, it's about, like you said, being proactive on it. So I'm the same way. I want to have everything dot my I's, cross my T's. I always say that backwards when I do it. So that way, hopefully I'm not put in this predicament itself as well. So thank you for this opportunity.
Awesome. Hey, and you know what, Dean? Any closing thoughts, Dean? We're almost there.
No, there are no closing thoughts here. I think it was great. It was a very quick, fast-paced discussion about something that's real in all of our buildings. So
Mhm.
no, I'm good. I'm absolutely good. Take it, Josh.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Office hours are now closed. So please share it, retweet it, whatever you need to do out there, like it, and check it out because this is a real world example that can happen and may happen to you. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. We'll be seeing you flagship, but still join. Unlock the middle. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. Office hours are closed.
Have a great week, everybody. Happy holidays to everybody. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever it is out there. Do what you need to do. Have a great week.